I want to wish you a very happy Easter. At Easter, we celebrate the rising of Jesus from the dead. His rising from the dead is like a plant that is planted into the ground and sprouts up anew. Jesus rising from the dead reminds us in a very strong and powerful way that death is not the end of life, and that there is life even after death. It also reminds us that misfortune in life is not the end of life. And the scripture gives us countless examples of people who suffered all kinds of misfortune, but the misfortune turned into glory. We take the case of Joseph from the Old Testament. Joseph was thrown into the pit by his own brothers out of jealousy. But God raised Joseph from the pit into the palace when he became a governor. His brothers thought that they were done with him. His brothers thought that he would never rise again. But God raised him up again. Another great sign that we see is in the story of Jonah. Jonah disobeyed the instruction of God, and out of his disobedience, the fish swallowed him. But out of the mercy of God, the fish released Jonah on the third day. So it tells us that Jonah's misfortune was not the end of his life. God, out of his mercy, released him out of that misfortune on the third day, after Jonah had begged and pleaded for mercy. We see something similar in the story of Job. Job was sick for a prolonged period of time. Many of those around him, including his family members, thought that that was the end of Job. But God, out of his mercy, raised Job and turned his misfortune into glory, because all his wealth, all his blessings were returned to him in manifold ways. So it tells us that misfortune is not the end of life. There are so many lessons that we can learn from the rising of Jesus from the dead. The rising of Jesus from the dead also teaches us that truth cannot be buried for a long time, because Jesus himself has declared that he is the way, the truth, and the life. The enemies of Jesus thought that they had buried him, they had killed him and buried him, and that